both in and out of uniform. I pray that all of us gathered here today will be inspired by his career, his achievements, and that we will seek to excel in our remaining time in uniform or civilian service, to be examples of integrity and excellence, to also finish the course as well as this Marine has done. So finally, Lord, I pray that you would bless this time today with your presence and that you would be honored as we honor this family today for their sacrifice over the years. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Now taking his position in the reviewing area is a retiring official, Lieutenant Colonel Osama. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem and remain standing for presentation of the award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal, Gold Star in lieu of Second Award, to Master Gunner Sergeant Jamie P. Myers, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in the following. For outstanding meritorious service while serving as Operations Chief, 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, from April 2020 to January 2022. Master Gunner Sergeant Myers' resolute leadership and operational intellect were pivotal to the deployment of more than 2,700 Marines and sailors throughout the unprecedented challenges of the coronavirus-19 pandemic. Responsible for the training of personnel and optimization of both afloat and ashore combat operations center configurations, he provided the commander with situational awareness during the execution of 3 named operations, 5 named exercises, 2 major multilateral training events, and 3 significant sustainment training exercises, given a short turnaround from decomposite and a transitioning staff. His common sense approach to problem solving, combined with his maturity and credibility, ensured unimpeded support to planning exercise Iron Fist 2022, in addition to the management of day-to-day operations. Furthermore, his contributions during the Commanding General's inspection resulted in minimal findings and discrepancies. His superior performance during this tour is the hallmark of a career devoted to accomplishing broad and diverse assignments, highlighting the culmination of 30 years of honorable and dedicated Marine Corps service. Master Gunner Sergeant Myers' exceptional professionalism, personal initiative, and loyal dedication to duty reflected great credit upon himself and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. For the President, signed, G.W. Smith, Jr., Lieutenant General, United States Marine Corps, Commanding General, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents greeting, this is to certify that Master Gunner Sergeant Jamie P. Myers, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Marine Corps on the 1st day of May, 2022, signed, David H. Berger, General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Dear Master Gunner Sergeant Myers, the Marine Corps has been your profession for the last 30 years, and you have served with distinction. Many aspire to be a Master Gunnery Sergeant, but those who achieve it are few, and they must clearly demonstrate the exceptional leadership qualities we have come to expect of our senior Marines. You have reason to be proud of your most successful career as a teacher to young Marines, a source of wise counsel, and as an example of those soldierly virtues we so admire. You have made a mark on the Corps that will remain long after you have left our active ranks. There are many young Marines you have influenced who will carry on in the same fine tradition that has always characterized the United States Marine Corps. You have my best wishes for good health and continued success in the years ahead. Semper Fidelis, signed, David H. Berger, General, United States Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Dear Master Gunner Sergeant Myers, on the occasion of your retirement, I would like to extend my congratulations and heartfelt thanks for your many years of dedicated service and selfless devotion to our country and Corps. You have made tremendous contributions and sacrifices throughout your Marine Corps career. As you prepare to enter this new chapter of your life, you can look back with immense pride and satisfaction on all you have accomplished. You have set an example of professionalism and leave a standard of excellence for all Marines who will carry on the legacy of our Corps. My wife Stacy joins me in wishing you continued success in the future. Semper Fidelis, signed, Troy E. Black, 19th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mrs. Nicole R. Myers. On the occasion of your husband's retirement, I express to you my sincere appreciation for your dedication and support during his career. When considering a career in the United States Marine Corps, one frequently thinks of only hardships to which the service member is subjected. Without detracting from your husband's own personal sacrifices, you deserve credit for his contributions. The long separations, the lonely nights, the moves after each tour, all demand much of the Marine spouse. On behalf of the entire staff of 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the United States Marine Corps, and this great nation, I express my personal appreciation and thanks for a job exceptionally well done, and wish you continued success and much happiness in all your future endeavors. Signed, 28 January 2022, S. Sean P. Dinan, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, 15th Marine Expedition Unit, Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Nicole Myers and Miss Diane Barr will now be presented with flowers.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Robert Myers will also be presented with coins on behalf of Master Guard Sergeant Jamie Myers for their commitment and support to our Corps and his service. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome today's retiring official, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Sama.
afternoon, everybody. What a crowd we've got here. Thank you all for coming out to celebrate and honor the career of Master Gunnery Sergeant Jamie Myers. First off, Colonel Dinan, thank you for allowing me to be out here today. Master Gunnery Sergeants, Sergeants Major, thank you. Marines, family, friends, thank you for coming out here today. Especially to the Marines who helped set up this ceremony. It looks beautiful out here, all to honor Master Guns. So today, we'll talk a little bit about Master Guns Myers' 30 years of service to the Marine Corps and to this nation. Some of you know him as Master Gunnery Sergeant, some of you as Jamie, other of you as Mongo. But no matter how you know him, he has impacted you in some way, in a positive, significant manner. And we'll talk about that. So Jamie started his Marine Corps career just like every other Marine, at the recruit depot on the Yellow Footprints 30 years ago. So he started his journey in this Corps in April of 1992, almost 30 years ago. Throughout his 30-year journey, he's done a tremendous amount. And he's gained incredible experiences and gone all over the world. He's done 11 deployments for our nation in places like Somalia in 1992, 1994, again in 2020, in places like Afghanistan in 2001 after the attacks on September 11th at Fort Rhino, in places like Iraq and Afghanistan again doing combat operations, and in places that weren't combat but were important for our nation like Okinawa, Japan, Mount Fuji, the Philippines, Korea, Australia. Not only that, but he served supporting the DA and the war on drugs in the hills and mountains of Southern California and New Mexico. This man has a ton of experience. And he's used that experience and expertise and then went to training commands like SOI West or McTobb to train basic infantry skills to young Marines and also to train future operations chiefs and officers in tactical planning. He has transferred his knowledge. And so he has become an expert in infantry tactics, skills, planning, and most importantly, leadership, and especially combat leadership. And he has a lot of experience in that. So what has he used it for? You know, he's trained junior Marines and leaders of Marines to become better, but he's also used it, especially in the last, I would argue, 7 to 8 years of his career, to be the honest broker. And man, is he good at it. So I first met Jamie in 2010 when I was junior captain, academics officer at Marine Combat Training Battalion. He was a master sergeant as the academics chief. And from that point on, we've had a story together. And all the time, he was the guy that would be willing to tell me the truth. When we were both in 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines together, he was the ops chief and I was the opso. There were many days when he would close the door, come to my office and say, "Sir, we need to talk." And he would be the one that would tell me exactly what I needed to hear. And when he told me those things, I can't tell you how important those discussions were. For me, to make me a better officer, but more importantly, to make our unit better and more effective. Jamie, that's been an incredible asset you've had. But how has he done that? And how has he gained that experience? Because he is a core Marine. He grew up from the grassroots level, from the bottom up. And that's where he learned all of the experience. He has never forgotten what the junior Marines do, because they're the ones that accomplish the mission. And so he is a guy that truly understands what taking care of Marines is about. You know, there's always been the debate. You learn it from when you're a junior officer or a staff NCO. What's more important? What comes first, Marines or the mission? Jamie doesn't have that problem. He doesn't have that debate. He doesn't deal with that. Because he knows when you take care of Marines, the Marines take care of the mission. And that's why he takes care of Marines. And you see it in everyday actions that he has done. From one side of the spectrum, he takes care of Marines by putting a big bag of candy in his desk. You know him. So that in the middle of a watch, in the LFOC or a COC somewhere, when it's 0-2 and morale is low and everyone's cold, you can go in the desk drawer and grab a handful of sugar, boost morale, and get through the rest of the watch. To the other side of the spectrum, where he plans and leads Marines through tough, hard training to prepare them for the realities of combat. And lastly, by sometimes taking his boot to be willing to put in people's ass. Because that's what he does. And if you've been on the receiving end, you know it. I've been there. And that's what makes Jamie when he takes care of Marines to accomplish the mission. And so it's that father-like mentorship that makes him so valuable to the Corps and to those around him. Speaking of fatherhood, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about his family. So Nicole, Garrett, Hunter, the Marine Corps owes you thanks. You guys have shared your father and your husband for the past 30 years. Frankly, this ceremony is as important, and you guys deserve it as much as Jamie does. You guys have sacrificed a tremendous amount. 11 deployments, you can argue maybe 7 to 8 years of his life in the past 30 years has been away from you. It's probably closer to 10 if you count ITXs and training events and field events. Your sacrifices have made him better and all of us better. And the support you guys have given him have enabled him to make us better. From the bottom of my heart and the hearts of all the Marines that he has ever served alongside, thank you for your sacrifice and your enduring support to him. We've all benefited from it. So to conclude, I'll say a couple words here. Jamie, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, your mentorship. You have made me a better person, and I know you've made all the Marines around you better. I am privileged and honored to have served with you at 3 different units, and I'm lucky to call you my friend. So Jamie is what I would call a warrior. And what's a warrior? It's a person that is willing to see the goal, no matter how hard that goal is, to achieve it, to overcome obstacles, to face their fears, and achieve it no matter what. And that's what Master Guns Myers does. And he has done that his entire career. You can see it in all the actions he's done every single day. Jamie, thank you for your 30 years of mentorship, of leadership, and inspiration to all the Marines around you. You have significantly impacted and inspired generations of Marines, and they will benefit from it for years and generations from now. Thank you very much for your dedicated and honorable service. Semper Fidelis, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Jamie Myers.
Holy crap, how do you follow that? He's a professor, by the way. So here's what I got. I got to thank, first off, all the Marines from the 15th MU and the band for setting this up. Can you please give them a round of applause?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for coming. Well, so we're going to start from the beginning. I was a farm boy, and I learned how to work hard from my dad by chopping wood and doing stuff like that. And I got better at it, my craft, working for a guy by the name of Bruce Tonkin. His brother was a bigger prick than he was, but I dealt with it, and I got away with it. So I had names like Speed Stick, and Ace, and Pollock, and finally come to Mongo after I stood up from a desk and I broke every drawer in it, and the whole desk fell apart. And, I was chasing somebody that pissed me off. Shit happens. So I got some people I have to thank, and I don't want to forget them, so I wrote them down, and I went by unit, and my first unit that I was in was 3rd Battalion 9th Marines, which was later redesignated as 3rd Battalion 4th Marines. And there's guys here that are some that couldn't come today, but the majority of them are here that were friends of mine. And Will Hoy was my squad leader at the time, and he told me, "You're the honor graduate of squad leaders course, and I'm your freaking squad leader. You should re-enlist." I'm like, okay. And then my platoon sergeant said, "You could probably make it 30 years because you're in pretty good shape. And you look good in uniform, and that's all it really takes." Maybe back then. So it was a good time, you know. And, you know, there's a lot of guys here that I partied with and kept me out of trouble. I'm not going to mention all their names because I'm sure I'll forget one or two. Yeah, Luke Miller, you fucking asshole. That was last night. All right, so I went to this unit called MGySgt, and I didn't know what the hell it was. They said, if you want to do a B-billet, you're going to have to wait 2 years to be a drill instructor, a year and a half to be a recruiter, or a year to go security forces, which I really didn't want to do anything but be a drill instructor. So they sent me to MGySgt to be a training NCO. Apparently there's a problem in the 90s where the air wingers were cheating on PFT and rifle range scores and getting a shitload of MCIs in 1 year. So they put grunts in there because for some reason the air wingers had better rifle range scores and better PFT scores than all the grunts did. So I'm like, okay, I didn't even know what my job was for the first 3 months until somebody sent me out and told me about it. And then I started getting handles of Jim Beam, cases of beer. Give me a couple extra points on my score. And I didn't know that. Back then, you could actually fudge the scores, because you could fudge the scores and put it in the system, and they'd be good. So the first guy that showed up at the 3-month mark, he was getting out of the Marine Corps, and he tells me, he's like, "Hey, you still got the hookup going on?" I'm like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." So I found out real quick that, yeah, there were some cheaters going on. And that's why they put guys like Tony O'Hare there and a couple of other of us that are here right now in the air wing to deal with that. So a lot of people don't know this, but because I was such a prick and I didn't have a lot of friends, all my grunt friends would come hang out with me on the weekends, like Nate Nelson, Antonio O'Hare, and some other guys would hang out. My brother would come hang out with me, and I got in a little trouble. And I just look at it this way, I got NJP'd for all the bad shit I did with the first unit I was in. And there's a guy by the name of David Dice that heard about it. He's a retired sergeant major, couldn't be here. He requested me to be a range coach at the range. So I went to the range and I excelled there, did very well. Oh, shit, hi. You lost weight. That's what happens when you're retired. So anyway, he came to my house every freaking night and studied with me. We got so good I could do the drill cards 1 through 4 in a tennis court with him and march him around. First he did it with me, then I did it with him. We figured it out. So guys like him got me meritoriously promoted back to sergeant after I'd been a sergeant already for like 2 years and 7 months. So thank you for that, and thank you for all your support. I know my wife really thanked you out as well. So, hoorah. So then I went to get orders, and they were going to try to send me to 1-8. I'm like, hell yeah, the tip of the spear when I get over there. And my wife's like, can't you ask if you can stay here in California? So I went back the next day. I said, hey, what's open in California? He said, 1-1. Oh, 1-1, no shit. First to foot, right on the line. I'll take it. Yes. And that's where I met my neighbor. His name's Fernando Ramirez. He and I became drinking buddies and card playing buddies. And I said, hey, I'm coming to your unit. He's like, oh, you're probably going to go to Bravo Company. They need guys like you there. I'm like, okay. He's like, go talk to Sergeant Major. He lives down the street in the trailer park. So I did. I walked to the Sergeant Major's door, knocked on his door, and said, hey, I'm Sergeant Myers. I'm supposed to be checking into 1-1 in a week. Can you tell me what company I might be going to? He's like, you're going to Alpha Company. All right, thanks. So I go to Fernando and said, hey, I'm going to your company. Fernando says, well, you're probably going to go to 2nd or 3rd platoon. I'm like, okay, go talk to First Sergeant on the floor. So I go to First Sergeant on the floor. When I check in, I'm like, hey, what platoon do I get? He says, 1st platoon. And by the way, your platoon sergeant is Staff Sergeant Ramirez, and he's on leave right now, and we're going to the field tomorrow for 10 days, and you got the platoon. I'm like, fuck you very much. All right. A good time. So we did a deployment together to Afghanistan, and that was a good time. I mean, believe it or not, it was actually a good time. I met a lot of really good people there. Typically, one that stood out was Gunny Kane, who was our admin chief. Every time we landed into a hotspot, that SOB was there waiting with the roster, taking notes and getting everybody's name down. So that impressed me. As an admin guy who was a former artilleryman, he definitely had his shit together. So that was good. And then later on, I met this guy named Gunny O'Laughlin, who saw me spy rigging off the 4th deck of the barracks, and he looked at me as I'm like sending my last guy down. We'd already done it. Oh, and we're doing Australian rappel too, face up, face first. And he looks at me, he's like, does your company commander know you're doing that right now? I said, no, but I'm probably going to go tell him right now. He's like, yeah, you should do that. That was the best attitude I ever got. So, yeah, it worked out well for me. So after 1-1, I mean, 1-1 was a great time. I did enjoy my time there. I got promoted to staff sergeant there, and I tried to go to the drill field. I actually had orders for the drill field, and my wife's like, our neighbor is kind of an asshole. He's yelling at his wife all the time. He's home late. He's never around. There's this new thing called a combat instructor. Well, they'll pay you like $75 extra a month. Maybe you should do that, and you'll be close. Well, okay, so again, thank you, wife. I changed my orders again. But the good thing about that unit was I was at Bravo ITB, which is the same ITB company that I graduated from, with guys like Rob Raines. He was there with me, getting in trouble. We got pictures at the beach doing stupid shit. But I ended up seeing my picture on the wall there. They actually had the picture of when we graduated in 1992. So I thought that was nostalgic. They made me a company gunny as a staff sergeant. This guy by the name of Kevin Eckhoff was my acting first sergeant, and he said, you're going to be the company gunny. I'm like, okay. He's like, why is that? He's like, well, because you stay till the job's done and you get shit done. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. I'll do that as well. So it ruffled some feathers, but I did all right. I got along with everybody. That's my goal. I've always tried to get along with everyone everywhere I go, no matter what. And it's worked out for me since I was at SOI. I can tell you right now, there's guys sitting over here that were hazed by me that probably don't really remember that side of me. So I'm just letting them know right now, there's another side to me. Get along with everyone. So I got meritoriously promoted to gunny at SOI when I went to AITB. There was 10 guys up on the board, and they're all pretty squared away people. So that's another thing that I didn't have a mentor really to help me out, except for Brad Castle. He was a regimental sergeant major, so I really couldn't ask him for questions or anything like that when it was going on. So I asked my wife. So my wife and I went to Palm Springs to study for the board. There was drill, which is the worst thing I did. I got like an 84 on the board out of 100 points. But we're studying at the beach, drinking cocktails, and he's like, you're not gonna have another drink until you can memorize this whole page. And I said, skip land nav, I'm good at that. So she gets the Law of War. I'm like, okay, now we need to settle down. The Law of War was a long time. I went like probably 4 hours without drinking at the pool with her. but that did help. You know, I did win the board, and I got promoted to gunny, and I caught up with my peers after being reduced from sergeant to corporal. So, thank you, wife. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here right now. I would have got out a long time ago. I can guarantee you that. But I have more units to go. So guess what? After SOI, I went to 2-3. We got to move to Hawaii. Yeah, yep. So I loved the unit in Hawaii. I had a good time in Hawaii. All the family that used to fly out and visit had a good time in Hawaii. I was only on Oahu for 10 months. The rest of the time I was in ITX, in 29 Palms, in school, on the Big Island, or in Iraq or Afghanistan. It was, to me, the worst moment of my life in the Marine Corps. I still have days that bother me. I have to sit back and think about and reflect on myself, and when I do that, it's on that fucking Harley over there. And that's called wind therapy. I enjoy it quite much. Yeah. So anyway, after 2-3, I went back to SOI again, and that's where I met Tony Sama. He tried to change everything, and you know, that's the way we always done it. He wanted to change things the way we're gonna do it. And he had this algorithm and whiteboards filled with algebraic equations on how we're going to change SOI. But you know, it worked. It did. We did change the way they do work. We basically got more out of the instructors than what they previously did. We got rid of 24 hours of combat hunter, which is basically looking at bloodstains and trying to teach somebody who's not a grunt how to be a pathfinder, when most pathfinders in the military are like, they've been doing it for 30 years. So you're not going to teach a new Marine how to do that. So we got rid of that, and we replaced all that time with about 24 hours of combat marksmanship with a rifle. And I thank you for that, because that's one of our biggest achievements together as a team. So after SOI, I went back to 1-1, believe it or not. I was only at 1-1 for about 3 months, and I got sent to Afghanistan with the MEF. So the MEF sent me over there, did my deployment over there with those guys. It was a good time. There were some other bad times. My buddy Doug Frazier, where you at? Well, anyway, yeah, Doug Frazier kept me out of trouble, looked out for me, gave me some tips while I was over there, helped me out, worked out every once in a while. So there's it takes a village, you know. There's a lot of people that are there to support you and support me, and I was thankful to have guys like Doug Frazier over there to help me out. Another guy named Gunny Fonseca, he's another one that helped me out while I was there. And like I said, you build a team. If you need advice, Doug's the guy to go to. He'd always have like a real short answer to get you through the day. I came back and I met this guy by the name of Bruce Knapp, who pulled me into division, even though I'm still part of 1-1. He says, "You're gonna work for me now." I'm like, okay. And at that point is when I learned all the crap that a ops chief in a battalion and division have to do. So I did learn a lot from Bruce Knapp, and I want to thank you as well for helping me out with that. I actually must have done a pretty good job being his current operations chief, because he sent me to be a battalion ops chief at 3-5 as a master sergeant. He said, "You're going to get promoted." I'm like, okay. And I did. So I actually got selected while I was on deployment. It was a good time. So he sent me to 3-5, and 3-5. I love 3-5 so much I got the tattoo. Dark Horse, get some. And that's where I walked into the office my first day in my alphas, and I see this cowboy in his cam. He's lassoing pencils off the desk with 550 cord. I'm like, "I think I know you." He looks at me and he says, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure you punched me in the face back in 1-1. I'm like, "What? Mike White?" Yeah, it's Mike White. So I got to work with Mike White a second time. He was a combat engineer. The first time attached to my platoon when I was in 1-1 with Fernando Ramirez. It's a small world, you know. But it's great to see how things turn around, and you get to see people that you work with again. So yeah, Mike White's like, yeah, I remember you. I think we'll be good to work together. So we did two deployments together. There were times when then Major Sama was not around and had to go into some other place, basically because he wanted to get the hell away from the CO. And Mike White became the OPSO for a little while, and I was still ops chief, doing current ops stuff, doing everything. So it was a real small element in the operations department. And we kept shit together, we kept it tight, and I think because we all know each other and worked together before, that helped a lot. And I thank you for that, Tony and Mike. So after 3-5, last deployment, I got sent to McTaug. I've never turned down orders. I thought it'd be a good deal. I like the school until I get there after a few months and I realize it's a $25,000 pay cut a year in BAH. That wasn't fun. But the job was rewarding. I know there's a bunch of students of mine from that course that are in here right now, and you are the future. I am not. You guys are. They are the students that I saw in that course, 10 times smarter than me. Lots of them. Guys like Ron Sampson, Corey Foster, dudes that just went in there and did awesome things. Guys like Jake Fernandez. By the way, Jake, thanks for the award. I know you wrote it. Yeah, I made sure he went to the school too. I'm like, oh, you learn so much. You'll be an OPSO someday. So he went to the course and knocked it out of the park, just like Tony Sama did. So my talk was fun. Had a good time, and I was so happy to come back to Camp Pendleton. Notice there's a trend here, right? Everything I've done has been on the West Coast. I got lucky. Yeah, so you know what? So what? I did 11 deployments. I would do 12, 13 if I could stay out here the whole time and enjoy all you people that are out here. Seriously, family members, friends, the Marines that are stationed out here, lifelong friends. Y'all got my number, you know how to get in touch with me. So I really enjoyed the 15th MU. There was a time in about June, right before we went to our first at sea period, where I about had a nervous breakdown. I was seriously ready to just call it quits and retire and not do it. And then I started thinking about it. Ain't nobody else gonna take the job. There would have been a master sergeant that would have just shoved in there and screwed over the CO. But it's guys like Tony Sama and Mike White who came into my office and talked to me for like an hour about not losing your shit and holding things together. And yeah, great, I did a good job. But I think at the beginning of it, with this COVID crisis going on, I could have done better without COVID. I could have done better with more freedom. I didn't get that. It was to me, I was suffering. And I went back and talked it over with my wife. And you know what she said? Stop being a fucking pussy. So here I am. I didn't retire 2 years ago. She kept me together. So I want to thank you very much. I am going to talk. I have one thing I have to do. I've thanked so many people right now. Since we're talking about family, my mom is here. Oop. Hopefully died.
You want my scissors?
Check. All right. Hold this.
Yeah.
This is my dad who grew this beard 5 years ago when he thought I was going to retire, and I didn't. He said he wasn't going to shave it until I retired, so here we go.
Here, hold it.
What a dick.
It starts bleeding.
Pull it out.
Thank you very much. You can bring your seats. You can keep that one out there different. I'll put this one in my trophy case. So my dad wanted me to join the Marine Corps when I was 18 years old, and I said, "You said you're going to pay for my college." He's like, "Well, I can't afford it right now. I just bought a bar." Join the Marine Corps. You get there for free. Pay your college. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I didn't. I said, screw you. I got $2,000 saved up from my high school graduation, so I'm going to pay my own way. So my first year, I got a 3.5 GPA. I did really well. And the second year, I moved to colleges closer to home, and my friends, and my party friends, and all the other fucking people that kept me in trouble. And I made my own choices. I'm not giving any blame on anybody for anything that was bad happening to me. Working for Bruce Tonkin kept me straight, kept me sharp. Working for my dad kept me sharp. Always working is what kept me sharp. So I'm not going to say there's anything bad about the reason why I joined the Marine Corps, because what I did, I went to tell my dad, and he sits me down, he says, you know what, I got you a car, and I got a place up above the bar. You can work there, you can live up there, and I'll pay you $50 a night for tending bar 3 days a week, and you can go to college and stay here, and I'll pay for everything. And I said, I just signed up for the Marine Corps. I should out in 2 weeks. He's like, you son of a bitch. I was ready when 18. I wasn't ready when I was 18. I waited until I was 20, and I turned 21 in boot camp. Graduating boot camp and coming home and going to bars, drinking, was not abnormal for me because my dad owned a bar. So I was let into just about every bar in the damn county anyway, and nobody gave a shit. At 18, 19, 20, yeah, I had lots of good friends. It was a good time. But I want to thank you, Dad, for raising me. I want to thank you, Mom, for not aborting me. It happens. But I want to thank my sisters. I got 2 sisters here. I got 2 brothers here and my brother's wife. I got my sons here. They've helped me. All the people that I just mentioned have helped me out. Even my in-laws. My in-laws, I love you. You're the reason why I stayed in California and didn't try to go anywhere else. You know, I love you guys. Family is what it's all about. But most of all, I love my wife more than anybody in the whole wide world, and I would do anything for her. If you told me to jump off a cliff, I'd probably fucking do it. All right. So, after this, I just want you guys all to know that there is a reception at the VA Center off Mission Avenue. We're cooking, it's going to be, what is it? Chicken Parmesan and chicken Alfredo.
No.
So, it's on us.
Lasagna.
All right. If you can make it, great. If you can't, oh well. Oh, by the way, I got to make another shout out. Because the reception, the DJ was paid for by Perry Bishop and Joanna Rice.
Here?
And some of the food was donated by Nate Nelson, who gave me a donation as well. So I thank them as well for your contribution to this. And I thank everybody that had to come out here and help put this on. And one last person I forgot to mention, oh my God, Marine Riders. So when we do the Marines hymn, I want all you guys that wearing green to know that the Marine Riders sing the Marines hymn, the first verse, very loud. So you should sing too, to try to sing louder than them. Just letting you know that. So they're going to sing loud. They don't sing good, but they sing loud. All right, peace, I'm out.
Peace, I'm out. Drop the mic.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the signing of entrance alone and the Marines hymn. It is now customary that Marines present and those who have served honorably sing the first verse of the hymn.
As it falls. were attending schools. This Marine stood to watch. And oh yes, before many of us were even born, this Marine stood to watch as our families watched the storm clouds of war brewing on the horizons of history. Jamie Myers stood to watch as Jamie Myers looked ashore and saw his family needing guidance. But he knew he had to stay because he had to watch. For 30 years, Jamie Myers stood to watch so that his fellow countrymen could sleep soundly in safety. So Jamie, today, each and every one of us are here to say, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have led, guided, and trained.
MGySgt Myers. You stand relieved. We have the watch.
Woo! Let's go, baby!
Master MGySgt Myers,